Okay, so for those of you that want to install a Wilson antenna on your truck, I'm going to show you how to do that. And I already have the mount set up right here to where I can mount another mount on here to put the antenna onto. And I'm going to have to remove this and run the wire down through here into the firewall somehow, and then go inside and somehow go inside here and bring it back up through so I can run it up this way and over to where my CB is going to be, which you can't really see right now, but it should be in there when I'm done. So I'm going to have to remove this part and this piece and this piece and this bar, and then I'm going to have to remove this piece and fish the wire up through the coax, up through the visor and into that hole over there. So I'm going to take everything apart and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's what you're going to need for the majority of the work. You're going to need a 10 millimeter, focus, 10 millimeter socket for these bolts. And then you're going to need a T40, yep, that's a T40 for these bolts in here on the bar. And then you're also going to need a T25 for the bolts that go in the runner right here. And then something that I found that helps out a little bit before you take this piece off, if you unplug this, which would be the light, you unplug that. Here's a plug. Before you even think about taking this piece off, that it'll make your life a little bit easier. But sorry, this video is going to be choppy. I'm only one person and I'm doing it out in a parking lot. Yep, out in a parking lot. So stay tuned. Alright, so I got everything taken apart here, and I was going to try and put the coax through there, but the holes are too small, so I'm going to have to find someplace else to run the coax. And this is a 2021 Freightliner, so everything's buttoned up and sealed up, and yeah, everything's sealed. Really horrible. Well, actually, that's like the best seal I've seen on a Freightliner, but it makes it a pain. But that's without that piece on there, and then the inside. So I took this runner off, and I took this bottom piece off, and the top piece, and the handle all the way up. And then I also took a couple pieces off from down here by the pedals, and it's sitting all in here. All in here. So, yeah. If you ever wonder why stuff is so expensive, probably because there are umpteen different bolts and nuts and screws just to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces off, seven pieces off. But I'm going to have to find a different way of running the coax, and I'm thinking maybe somehow through there. But I'll figure it out and then show you it all buttoned up. Well, actually, I'll probably show you how I ran the coax up through and over. But yeah. Okay, so I got this mount put on here that I had to Frankenstein from 2 other mounts, but it's a temporary mount, so I got that put on there, and then I have enough slack to where if I need to change out the mount or something happens, I have enough slack to where I can fix it. I zip tied it here, ran it up through over top of that hinge that you can't really see, but you go here, ran it up through here over top of that hinge, so that way I don't have to worry about anything binding or getting smashed or getting pinched right here. And then I ran it down there inside, which the inside is still torn apart, and there's the rest of the coax right there. Now, there's that little fitting for everybody that doesn't know. That's going to go into the back of the CB, but it comes with this that you have to put onto the end. So that's the actual, we'll plug into the back of the CB, and this goes on here like that, and it screws down and everything else. So I gotta button the rest of this up, get everything all put back together, and what I'm going to end up doing is taking the rest of that coax, and in here is some wires and hoses and whatever else that are zip tied to the frame. So I'm going to take and zip tie that coax and run it right up with the rest of these up here. This is the air horn, and then I'm going to run it up through in this gap right here, and then across the visor and into that hole. So let me do that. But yeah, so pretty much that's going to be your mount and everything else. So you have one mount that hooks onto the mirror, and then the other mount that hooks onto the that the antenna will go into, and then the antenna will go in here and screw in there, and then go up and out. So let me get more of this stuff buttoned up, and yeah. Alright, so this is it with the antenna on there, and that's about the angle I want. But when you put this piece back on, you want to make sure that your gaps will line up with the other side, so that way you don't have it shifted one way or the other. And then, so with this being, this is called a load, and I'll get to that in another video, but with that load, you don't want it too close to the cab, and you don't want it too far away, because you want it somewhere in the middle to where your cab doesn't interfere with your signal. So I figured out about a 45-degree angle. I might bring it back up here just a little bit more with the next mount, but everything's secured. It's not moving around. Like, it's gonna pull. And then I'll get into the reason why you want the angle and everything else in a different video, but that's pretty much it. I left enough slack here to where if there's something wrong, I can fix it. And there's enough slack here in the top part to where all the way down there's enough slack to where, so when I go to open the door, it doesn't pinch or bind, and it's not getting hung up on anything. And then you also want to check, have your door all the way open. And you also want to check to make sure that this isn't hitting your windshield, right? You don't want this constantly hitting your windshield or anything else when you set it up. So there's that. The inside I'm having a little bit of an issue with, but I mean, there's that right there, it goes down. But the inside here, I'm having a little bit of an issue with fishing it through, so I'm gonna have to pull some of this apart and figure out how to fish it through there. And then I'll be back. Okay, so for those of you that want to try and do this on your own, unless you have quite a bit of patience and a really small arm, I wouldn't try it. Plus, whoever made Freightliners now, I have to commend them for whoever designed the front here, because that's the amount of screws that I had to take out just to get this piece, that piece, and this piece out. This piece goes over the front of it, like that. You know, you'll see it when it gets back put back on. But if I step in the back, that is yeah, that's fun. That many screws. So if you want to try and run your own coax and not go off the stock coax that they have, and this right here is a stock coax that comes with the truck. Here's the power cable that I'm going to be plugging the radio into, and this is the coax that I bought. So, but yeah, that's quite a bit. But I'm going to go back to work, and I'll see you when I get it all buttoned up. Okay, so this is kind of the slow part. I got all my wires ran through, so it's when it gets all buttoned up, it'll actually look cleaner. But so this is the power wire. I got it all zip tied up. I already got the power here plugged in, and I got it connected right here. And you know, you just kind of gotta guess. Like usually the wire on the harness for the truck will have a stripe on it when it's the hot wire or the red wire. Usually, you know, see right there, that stripe. Let's see if I can get it. Alright, so for whatever reason, but anyway, there's a wire that has a stripe on it. So there's that brown one with the stripe, so that would be the red wire, and then there's a black, which would be the ground or the negative. So be red and black right here. The red and black runs into the power, so that's power, and then that's coax coming in from the antenna we just hooked up. But there's the coax. I don't have everything all hooked up, obviously, because I still have it out. And here's where your microphone will go. This would be the power knob. We'll get into that a little bit later. My my unit is going to look a little bit different. I have an external speaker that I'm going to be hooking up, which is right there, and my external speaker is going to plug into here. And then I have a few other doodads and stuff that not too many other people have, but it helps me out. But yeah, and then I'll run through later on about how to SWR it. But now it's time to put all of this back together, and we'll see it when it gets buttoned up. Okay, so 4 to 5 hours later, and it's all installed. Yeah, I forgot to run the external, so I had to run it through here, bundle it up there and down and tuck it, and then put the external speaker right there. But it turns on. Well, it turns on. I can go through the channels. The SWR, like I just checked the SWR, and the SWR is off by a lot. So I think it's the mount that I'm using. So I got to redo something with the mount. But it turns on, it functions, and then, but I think the thing that's wrong with the mount is right here, that piece. It doesn't make a very good connection, and then I'm going to change this piece out as well. maybe I can get a better connection out of it. But everything else is all put back together. Got everything hooked up, put away, tucked away. See, all my wires are all tucked away, and I don't like having a lot of clutter. So, but except for like, I'm still in the process of putting this truck together, so everything's a mess. But yep, I'll do another video here soon, and catch you guys on the flip side.